Was this some sort of twisted joke? What was Sophia trying to achieve with her biting words over the phone? I could hear my mother-in-law mocking the situation, and it baffled me that she would drag her grandson into such chaos. With a heavy sigh, I resolved to just head home. Little did Sophia know that she was about to face a situation beyond her expectations. My name is Kayla, and at 38, I work at a typical company. My husband Richard and I have been happily married for a decade. We first met at a university club during our college days where we enjoyed each other's company as friends without any thoughts of romance. Years later, after bumping into each other at a reunion, we reconnected, and our friendship blossomed into something more. A year into dating, Richard proposed, his serious expression etched in my memory as he asked me to marry him. We tied the knot shortly after and soon welcomed our wonderful son, Bob. Bob is spirited and a bit mischievous, but his kind heart shines through. He excels in school and has a passion for baseball that has burned brightly since childhood. Bob plays on a local youth team, practicing his batting come rain or shine. His impressive skills have led his team to numerous victories, turning him into a local star. Richard and I never miss a game, always cheering enthusiastically from the stands. "Hey Mom and Dad, did you catch today's game? How was it?" Bob beams after each match. We respond with genuine excitement. "That home run was fantastic. It changed the whole game, Bob." With a proud smile, he heads out to the yard for more practice after dinner. His dedication is truly inspiring. He showed the same zeal when he was on the swim team, tirelessly honing his skills despite challenges. I hold a senior position at my company, striving to embody the perseverance and determination that Bob displays. Whenever work gets tough, I find motivation in his relentless spirit. Despite the joy and positivity in our daily lives, there's a persistent shadow that looms over our happiness: Sophia. Since Richard and I married, she has made her disdain for me abundantly clear, often questioning my choices with a critical tone. "Kayla, why are you sitting down? A daughter-in-law should be helping her mother-in-law," she would say, setting a tone of constant judgment. This ongoing tension has cast a shadow over our household, overshadowing our family achievements. One day, during a relaxed family meal, my father-in-law, Lucas, had just offered me dessert when Sophia's patience seemed to snap. I was enjoying a light-hearted chat with Richard, but Sophia appeared increasingly irked. Later, in the kitchen, she shot me a harsh glance and muttered a string of complaints. "How can you be so thoughtless? Is this how you were raised?" Her words caught me off guard, not only because they were harsh, but because she knew nothing of my upbringing. Since our first meeting before the wedding, Sophia's demeanor had always been severe, making any attempt at closeness feel awkward. Consequently, I limited my visits to their home. However, after Bob was born, the visits increased to delight my in-laws, who adored seeing his cheerful expressions. Although Sophia doted on Bob, she frequently masked her criticism of me with thinly veiled smiles. "If Bob misbehaves, it's all down to your parenting," she once said, barely hiding her disdain. She often questioned my approach with comments like, "I'm concerned with a mother like you," and even boldly stated, "I'd like to raise him myself," she said, as if I weren't fit to be his mother. Her words stung deeply. Interestingly, Sophia only made such remarks when Richard and Lucas were absent. My silence seemed to only aggravate her further. "Are you listening?" she would demand sharply. In those moments, I wondered who she thought was without flaws. Whenever Richard or Lucas returned, Sophia's demeanor would instantly soften as she gushed about how adorable Bob was. Visiting the in-laws felt like bracing myself against Sophia's subtle barbs. However, after Bob was born, I discovered an inner strength. I focused on his milestones, my career, and the small joys of daily life. These distractions minimized the impact of Sophia's comments in my mind, making them feel like mere dust that could easily be shaken off. She might have mistaken my silence for agreement, but I chose not to waste my energy engaging with her negativity. Occasionally, her remarks still irritated me, but ignoring them became easier, especially knowing she misunderstood my quiet resilience. Lucas, Richard, and Bob were always my pillars of support. Over time, I even began to view these challenging interactions with Sophia as potential memories that might one day shift in flavor from bitter to bittersweet. 10 years into our marriage, our regular visits to the in-laws, complete with Sophia's barbs, had woven themselves into the fabric of our family routine. I sometimes questioned whether the complexities of in-law relationships were a universal struggle. On a day like any other, as I brushed off another of Safia's critical comments, my son Bob intervened with a determined look that revealed the weight of his thoughts. "Grandma, why do you always talk to Mom like that?" he asked, catching Safia completely off guard. Flustered, she replied, "Bob, what are you talking about? Don't pretend you don't know." Bob cut in sharply, "I've heard how you speak to Mom. It's not right. You should be kinder. I don't like seeing you act this way." His words seemed to stem from a deep well of accumulated courage. All he yearned for was a touch of kindness from his grandmother. Initially, Safia appeared puzzled, as if the meaning behind Bob's words eluded her. Then, a flicker of annoyance crossed her face. "Bob, where did you learn to speak like this? Isn't it rude to interrupt adults?" she retorted. "Kayla, you need to teach him better. Just look at his attitude. It's problematic how he doesn't choose his words carefully." I was deeply moved by Bob's brave stand. He had always possessed a bold spirit, and I felt immense pride in seeing that strength still shining through. "Bob, thank you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "But it's okay. Please just step back a little, Grandma." "My mom is very kind," Bob insisted, unwavering in his support for me. Over time, Safia's critical words had lost their sting, but I didn't want Bob to face any negativity on my behalf. Just then, Richard entered the room, alerted by the tension, wearing a look of concern. "What's happening here? Why does everyone seem so upset?" he asked, catching Safia off guard. She responded meekly, "Oh, it's nothing. Just some small talk with Kayla. I'll go make some dessert." With that, she retreated to the kitchen. Richard turned to me, his expression filled with worry. "Are you okay?" he asked. Before I could respond, Bob blurted out, "Mom is being bullied by Grandma." I quickly rushed to clarify, wanting to keep the details brief, but also aware that Richard might worry if I didn't share enough. "It's been a bit difficult, but I'm managing," I explained, deciding it was best to open up about the ongoing challenge so Richard could fully understand the situation without feeling left out. For years, Safia's harsh words had been a thorn in my side since marrying into the family. Over time, I had discreetly recorded some of her verbal assaults, not out of spite, but for my own sanity. When I finally revealed these recordings to Richard, he was taken aback by the extent of the verbal abuse I have faced. "Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?" he asked, regret evident in his voice. "I'm sorry I wasn't there to support you." "It's okay," I reassured him. After Bob was born, my days became filled with childcare and managing the household, which left little room for dwelling on Safia's behavior. I chose to focus on the positives, like watching Bob grow. Richard looked at me with admiration in his eyes. "I never realized how strong you've become," he said. "You still managed to smile through it all." I laughed lightly, brushing off the compliment. Despite everything, having Richard and Bob by my side made it easier to let the sting of Safia's words fade into the background. However, a significant event was on the horizon that would further test my relationship with Safia. Lucas, my father-in-law, was retiring, and Richard and I wanted to do something special to celebrate. We thought a family trip abroad would create lasting memories, and after some discussion, we settled on a destination. When we shared the idea with Lucas, he was thrilled and suggested that we all go together, our family along with my in-laws, setting the stage for our first joint overseas trip. Richard, knowing Safia would be joining us, looked at me with concern. "Are you sure this will be okay?" he asked cautiously. "I think if we manage our time well and take breaks when needed, everything will be fine," I reassured Richard. "We'll have a great time and create some positive memories." To my surprise, Safia was extremely enthusiastic during the trip planning. She pulled out brochures and eagerly suggested numerous places to visit. Initially, I hesitated at the idea of her dominating the itinerary for a trip meant to celebrate Lucas, but seeing how happy and supportive Lucas was of her enthusiasm, I decided to respect his wishes as well. On the day of the trip, we woke up early, buzzing with anticipation. Arriving at my in-laws' house, I greeted them warmly. "Good morning, Dad and Mom. Please get in the car," I said with a smile. Lucas beamed back at me. "Thank you for today. I've been looking forward to this." Bob, bubbling with excitement, chimed in, "Grandpa, let's sing that song we like on the way." Lucas agreed enthusiastically, and we settled into the car, Bob and I in the back seat while Lucas and Safia took the front. The atmosphere was light, and as we drove off, the promise of new memories seemed to smooth over our past difficulties. Richard took the wheel, ready for a smooth drive to the airport while the rest of us adjusted ourselves for a comfortable journey. The traffic was light, allowing us to chat and sing along to the radio as we made our way. Arriving at the airport with time to spare, we decided to explore the various shops and the observation deck. Bob, who loved watching airplanes, was particularly excited by the view from the deck. As our stomachs began to rumble, Bob announced, "I'm hungry," so we stopped at a small cafe for a light meal. Afterward, we strolled through a souvenir shop, where my in-laws took their time examining different items, clearly enjoying themselves. As it neared the time for our flight, we started heading toward our gate. On the way, Sophia, showing a moment of thoughtfulness, suggested, "Kayla, do you want to take a break? I'll watch the luggage while you go to the restroom." Her offer seemed considerate, so I left her with our bags and took Bob, who also wanted to go. Surprisingly, the restroom was unusually busy. Even the men's room had a line, which made me chuckle at the unexpected situation. When we returned to our meeting spot, however, we were confused to find Sophia and the luggage nowhere to be seen. A sudden wave of panic washed over me, and I tried to call Richard, but my call wouldn't go through. Were they already at the boarding gate? The absence of our luggage heightened my anxiety, making me fear it might have been stolen. Just then, my phone rang. It was Sophia. I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. Sophia's cheerful tone came through the line. "Where are you?" I asked, attempting to maintain my composure. "What's going on?" Sophia laughed lightly. "There's no need to worry, Kayla. I just want to enjoy myself with my husband and son. You two are just in the way." Stunned and confused, I pressed, "Wait, this has to be a joke, right?" In a tone as casual as discussing the weather, Sophia replied, "Oh, your luggage. I think I tossed it somewhere." Panic surged through me as I scanned the area, and thankfully, I spotted our bags hidden under a nearby chair. Frustration replaced my anxiety, and I confronted her. "Is this some kind of joke? What are you trying to achieve?" "Oh, calm down." She dismissed my concerns, her flippant attitude only fueling my anger further. I tried to keep the peace for the sake of the trip and our family time together, but disbelief washed over me as Sophia's voice chimed through the phone, full of mischief. "I've made sure your wallets and passports are safe, but how about spending the night on the streets for fun?" She laughed heartily, leaving me confused and alarmed. "Where's my husband?" I demanded, panic creeping into my voice. "Oh, he and Bob couldn't wait to get on the plane," Sophia replied, her tone suggesting she was relishing in some private joke. "They went ahead to the boarding gate. That's why I had to rush you and make you sit apart. I knew you'd figure this out soon enough." Her voice dripped with unsettling glee. My heart sank, a mix of fury and shock. I couldn't believe Sophia would drag her grandson into such a cruel game. "We're going home now," I stated, my voice heavy with defeat. "Sounds good," Sophia chirped. "I'll pick out some souvenirs for you, of course, on your credit card." With that, she hung up, clearly pleased with herself. I stood there, stunned, never imagining our family trip could spiral into such chaos. But I wasn't going to let Sophia's antics go unchallenged. As I processed the situation, my phone buzzed with a WhatsApp message from Richard. "Are you okay?" "I can't see our seats from here," I said quickly, filling Richard in on the chaos. Sophia had tricked us, and now we couldn't board the plane together. Richard was flustered. "Seriously, what happened?" He typed back, his words a mix of disbelief and urgency. "I'll explain more later, but for now, just come down," I texted, beginning to devise a plan. Richard agreed to go ahead to San Pedro Sula with Sophia for the time being, allowing her to think she had won. In the meantime, I took proactive steps by heading to the police to report my wallet stolen and calling the credit card company to freeze our accounts, protecting us from any further mischief. Once everything was secure, Bob and I decided to make the best of this bizarre situation. We changed our plans and checked into a nearby resort hotel, where the stunning view from our room and the delicious food became unexpected highlights of our impromptu vacation. Bob, delighted with the turn of events, even offered me a bite of his food with a big smile. "Mom, this is delicious," he exclaimed, his grin assuring me that we had made the right decision despite the chaos. We also enjoyed a lovely barbecue at my parents' house, where the aroma of grilled meat and the warmth of being surrounded by family transformed our ordeal into a genuine retreat. 5 days later, Richard and my father-in-law returned, their faces etched with genuine remorse for the trouble caused by Sophia's actions. Despite the unexpected twists, our time together had turned out to be special, reminding us that sometimes the best memories are the ones we never planned. I was still in disbelief over Sophia's actions, and so was Lucas. With a heavy heart, he confessed, "Mag, I'm so sorry about what happened. I should have been more vigilant. Though they were apologetic, Bob and I had already moved beyond our initial anger. Curious about how their trip went without us, I asked Richard for details. Richard chuckled before sharing that their trip had turned out to be a great success, albeit not in the way one might expect. They had devised a bit of revenge in response to Sophia's antics. After leading her to believe they were staying at a luxury hotel, they had booked themselves into a different location, leaving Sophia to arrive at a hotel where I had canceled the reservation. Sophia had tried repeatedly to contact Richard and Lucas, but they ignored her calls and messages, choosing to enjoy their time in San Pedro Sula without her. Bob, eager for details, asked his dad if they had fun. Richard smiled and affirmed that they did, but quickly added, "Yes, but next time let's all go together." He then shared more about Sophia's misadventures. She kept sending frantic messages, he sighed. Apparently, Sophia had ended up staying at a budget inn, struggling with discomfort and a lack of funds. She had been counting on using my credit card and expecting money from Richard and Lucas, only to find herself with hardly any cash. As a result, she hadn't had a proper meal since the first day and was both physically and mentally exhausted. When Sophia finally returned, her disheveled hair and bloodshot eyes spoke volumes about her ordeal. "What have you done to me?" she exclaimed, looking utterly worn out and confused. However, no one in the house offered her sympathy. "You brought this upon yourself," we told her. I explained how her actions over the past 10 years had not gone unnoticed. Sophia tried to defend herself, but Richard interjected, revealing that he had heard the recordings I made of her mistreatment. "I was shocked when I listened to those recordings," he told her. "I had no idea you were capable of saying such things to Kayla. You always seemed kind on the surface, but behind our backs, you were quite different." This confrontation marked a turning point, highlighting the contrast between Sophia's facade and her true behavior, making it clear to everyone just how deep the issues ran. The incident in San Pedro Sula was a turning point. Sophia had left Kayla and Bob stranded and even went as far as to steal my wallet. Richard couldn't hide his disbelief. "What were you thinking? This isn't just wrong. It's a crime," he said sternly. Flustered, Sophia tried to defend herself. "I just wanted to have a good time with the family. Kayla and Bob are family too." But Richard's patience had worn thin. "I'm done with you as a family member," he said coldly. "I'm considering a divorce. I never imagined you would do something like this. You've been deceiving us for so long. I can't forgive you for hurting our precious family. I don't want anything to do with you anymore." Sophia, rebuked harshly by her husband and son, looked down, her face pale and shocked. She kept apologizing afterward, but the damage was irreparable. "Kayla, I'm truly sorry. I'll apologize as many times as needed. Please forgive me," she pleaded, a hint of desperation in her voice. I responded firmly, "That's going to be a tall order. Your harassment made my life extremely difficult. I will be seeking compensation, and about my stolen wallet, I'll be reporting that to the police. You should also cover the hotel cancellation fees." My decisive words seemed to drain the color from her face even more. As a result of this incident, Sophia suddenly found herself facing massive debts. Having been a housewife for many years, the only jobs she could secure were minimum wage. Her relationship with her husband deteriorated beyond repair, and she was forced to start anew in a modest apartment, working tirelessly to pay off her debts. Meanwhile, our family gradually regained our peace. The following year, we planned and went on a much-needed overseas trip together. Bob was thrilled to experience a foreign culture and scenery for the first time, and seeing him so happy and content warmed my heart, reinforcing the importance of cherishing and deeply loving my precious family. After all the turmoil, it was a relief to find tranquility and joy once again.